to get this game finished before they were interrupted. The younger man was an excellent player by any standard. His winning strategy had been steadily unfolding for the last while. His black troops were strongly positioned, and he fancied that he could see clearly 4 or 5 moves ahead of his opponent, with victory in sight. But what had started as a deceptively mild-mannered game plan on the part of the older man now suddenly began to reveal itself in its almost Machiavellian fiendishness. With the audacious sacrifice of his queen, by which he'd lured the enemy straight into his trap, the White Army was suddenly poised to unleash its unstoppable onslaught. The older man's face remained completely calm and impassive, but he played with a kind of contained, cold fury that, if anything, had become more intense in the aftermath of his recent sadness. Those who knew him well, and very few did, as he tended to keep people at arm's length, knew that the last 12 months had been a painfully unhappy time for him. The final slaughter was quick and bloody. One by one the black pieces were swept ruthlessly off the board until the Black King was laid bare of his protecting rooks and knights and became a fugitive running for his life, while the white pawn that had been innocently creeping deeper and deeper into enemy territory now reached the finish line, and the all-powerful White Queen was restored to the board to devastating effect. Black's position was now utterly hopeless. In 3 more moves, the hunted king was helplessly trapped, cornered, pinned down, and the checkmate was complete. "I lose count of the number of games I've lost to you," the younger man said, shaking his head. "Once again, Auguste, you have decimated and humiliated your poor old friend." "Not at all," the older man protested, smiling modestly as he set the pieces back to their original positions. "In fact, it was a much closer contest than it appeared to be. You had the advantage, several times." "Nonsense. You annihilated me, as you always do." The younger man laughed. "I should be thankful that we don't play for money, or else you'd have stripped me of my fortune as well as my self-confidence." A fortune that, at the last count, was high up in Europe's top 50. "Perhaps one day you will allow me to get my revenge," he added, with a look in his eye that betrayed the truth that he did in fact take these losses quite personally. "Next time, I'm sure," said the older man. Their conversation was interrupted at that point by the arrival of a delegation manager, come to remind them with a polite smile, "Gentlemen, the meeting is due to get underway. If you be so kind as to follow me." As they were about to leave, the older man went to get his dark suit jacket from the back of the chair where he'd been sitting. In so doing, he accidentally nudged the chess table with his hip, causing some of the pieces to topple over, and one of them, a white knight, to fall off the board and drop to the floor. "Oh, no!" he exclaimed in horror. Luckily the table stood on a fine oriental rug, or else the precious old chess piece, carved centuries ago from a piece of Persian white opal into the most elegantly stylized horse's head, 3 inches in height, might have shattered into 100 tiny pieces on the hard floor. "Thank God, it's all right," he said, inspecting it. "I must be getting clumsy in my old age." "I'm glad it wasn't broken," said the younger man. "I must say, Auguste, that if I owned such a magnificent work of art as that chess set, I'd leave it safely at home. One of these days. It really doesn't bear thinking about." I know," replied the older man, still turning the recovered chess piece over in his fingers, and carefully scrutinizing it for any cracks or chips he might have missed on first inspection. "Perhaps I ought to take your advice." The younger man chuckled. "That would be the first time you ever did that, my old friend." "Gentlemen," prompted the delegation manager, looking at his watch. "The car is waiting." "My apologies," the older man said. "Let's waste no more time." "And needless to remind you also," the manager added obsequiously, "that the usual rules apply with regard to personal phones or electronics of any kind. I trust you have taken the necessary precautions." Of course." The 2 delegates had been through this ritual many times before. Such devices were strictly forbidden at their ultra-secret conferences. The rules of their close-knit and highly covert organization were nothing short of sacred, and to break them, according to the oath that each member was required to swear on admittance, was punishable by the severest penalties. They left the villa and climbed into the long, luxurious car that had been sent to whisk them across the island to the meeting.